Welcome back to your ESPN Radio MLB Playoffs Update. I'm Liz Flynn, joined with Lo Yarnell, and we are going to bring you the latest and greatest updates from the New York Mets and the Anaheim Angels. Just kidding, they didn't make the playoffs, but we're going to sit here and talk about why.
Well, I think after a spectacular performance from both teams in the 2020 season, the first thing to address is their outstanding records, matching records that is, of 26 and 34. The Angels hit 26 and 34 in the AL West, and the Mets hit 26 and 34 in the NL East. Liz, the Angels over in Anaheim are feeling that pain. They put up stellar competition against the Rangers, who happened to sweep them and also beat them for worse in the AL West. And they also got beat by the Astros, even when they weren't cheating. So the Angels are really putting up their best foot forward when it comes to the American League West. But let's talk about the MVPs being wasted on both teams. Liz, what are your thoughts?
Lo, my MVP is clearly Jacob deGrom. Although he's probably not going to win the Cy Young this year, he is still one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball. But it's hard to win awards and it's hard to have a good season when the rest of your team just forgets how to play baseball. He had 68 innings pitched, 104 strikeouts, 18 walks, and ended his season with a 2.3 ERA. He pitches 102 miles per hour like it's absolutely nothing.
You want to talk about wasted talent in Jacob deGrom? Let's bring it back to Mike Trout. This man is arguably the best player in all of baseball of all time, yet he's only made it to the playoffs once in 11 years in the league. He signed a 12-year, $430 million contract to the Angels. The Angels have handcuffed him for life unless he pulls a TB and switches it up on us in the year 2031. But assuming that doesn't happen, he can't continue to carry this team. He had a perfect fielding percentage. He hit 56 hits, 41 runs, 17 home runs. He hit his 300th home run this season. And how did the team repay him? By coming up short yet again. They haven't made the playoffs since 2015. They have to be better for him. He deserves it. He has the money to back it. Mike Trout deserves better.
And while the Mets do mishandle most things, they finally did something right because Steve Cohen is coming to New York and his pockets are deep. He purchased the team for $2.4 billion, so this might finally be a step in the right direction. And quite frankly, he just needs to blow up this front office, fix it, sign all the players that need to be signed, and finally help get this team back to 500.
Having money must be nice, because the Angels don't know what that is. 4 guys do, Mike Trout being one, Grandpa Albert Pujols, who refuses to retire, is the second, Anthony Rendon and Justin Upton, they make double digits, they know what money is. Every single other person on that field doesn't have a clue. These players aren't getting good money, and no one wants to come to the Angels because they know that their budget is locked up in Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. They need a manager with money, and guess what? On September 27th, they announced that they are looking for a new general manager. So the future is bright for the Angels. The question is, can they get that money? Can they get the players that they need? I think that if they do that, Mike Trout may have some support and a fighting chance at touching the playoffs before he retires.
Yeah, I can name everybody just to bring guys up and win and get to the playoffs. I think that's the biggest thing that's left on. Obviously I had that little taste in 14, but I want to get to the playoffs.
The 2020 season was full of ups and downs for every team, but it was particularly disappointing for the Mets. You lost your starter due to injury, others opted out, and then your games were put on hold after a player tested positive for coronavirus because you had to go where? Miami, of course, obviously. I said it once and I'll say it again. This was a 16-team postseason, and somehow, of all teams, the Mets just couldn't get in. Rick Porcello apologized to the fans in a press conference after his last start, so even the team knows this year was a disaster.
To the Mets fans, I'm sorry that we couldn't have done better for you and given you something to watch through the postseason. But
the Angels can't use team drama as an excuse while the 2020 season was so bad. They just can't win. They had the lowest winning percentage since 1999, but no one's surprised because they haven't had a winning season since 2015.
Let's wrap this up with the future and what needs to change. For the Mets, players need to continue to produce. Michael Conforto had a breakout season, Andres Jimenez came in at 21 years old and found his place in the infield, and even Edwin Diaz managed to reel it in on the mound and pitch much better than last season. Speaking of producing, this team needs to stop stranding runners. This season, they averaged 16.52 runners left on base, which is good for, you guessed it, the worst in the MLB. Imagine what this season could have looked like if those 16 runners each game crossed the plate.
When it comes to the Angels, the good thing is that everyone knows what the problems are. The problems are money and pitching. First and foremost, they need to hire a GM with big pockets and a lot of LA love to get more players to Anaheim. And by players, I mean pitchers. Right now, our highest paid players are 2 outfielders and 2 infielders. That's fine and dandy, but they don't win games for us. Pitching wins games. And if the Angels want good pitching, they have to go out and pay for it. We're giving up too many runs a game, and all of those high-paid players in the field can't defend the shots that are going over their head. The Angels need to buckle up, pay for pitching, and then maybe they'll finally find a winning season. That's all from me and Liz Flynn. From the bleeding hearts of Angels and Mets fans alike, we hope you enjoyed this segment.